I tell y'all what's on my mind?
I don't think that
Can I get a
saying
couple of things off my
he
chest?
took some time off is really a direct shot at him. Is really going to be something that hurts him in the long run, because we know Drake has been oversaturating the market with pointless albums, right? So at the same token, Kendrick taking time off and making sure that his voice is more valuable, that his voice is just not thrown out there. So whenever he has something to say, people are going to pay attention. People are really going to take into account what he says. Is going to hold more weight. It's going to hold more value to it, right? So on the other hand, we see what Cole is doing. He's just doing the verses, right? He's not really dropped the project except this project since the offseason, and the offseason was in 2021. So he's done the collaborative albums with, the D-Day, right? He's done some things, but he hasn't really dropped a full project of himself since 2021. So ain't like J.Cole really been dropping bodies of work like that anyways. So it's a lot I could say about this diss. It's a lot I could talk about. But J. Cole said his warning shots. I wonder what else he could say about Kendrick. You know what I'm saying? And no telling what Kendrick could say about him. So I think we'll find out soon enough. And right now, like I said, I see it as 1-1. I see it as an even match. Kendrick scored, right? Because he got the number one single with Like That. He helped Future and Metro come out with that number one album, right? And Like That is still, even with Beyonce, Like That will still be number one in Billboard. It's projected to be number one in Billboard for 2 weeks straight, even with the Beyonce drop. So I think Kendrick, with that alone, with the numbers and everything that came from Like That, I think he scored. And just J. Cole responding and getting a whole project out there at the same time, I think he won too. I think he scored too. And I think that was an assist. I think that was an alley-oop from Kendrick, and he slam dunked it, right? So I think Kendrick looks at this and smiles. I think Kendrick looks at this and he likes it, because he knows he did a solid for Cole. He knows he gave Cole the ball in his own court. And so I'm glad he took advantage of that shine. I'm glad he took advantage of that spotlight. But let's talk about this mixtape, right? Let's talk about Might Delete Later, because I saw it as a mixtape. I viewed it as a mixtape. I didn't see it as a complete album, right? Although if Drake and Kendrick release a project, a body of work, it will be considered an album, right? But at the same time, I see this as a mixtape. I don't think J. Cole put the full effort into crafting an album. I think he will drop the fall off, hopefully before this year is over with. But I could see it coming next year now. Just depends on what Might Delete Later does throughout the rest of the year. And I think this is a project that we really got to sit with a little bit longer to really kind of evaluate and see how it sounds. But it does sound more like a mixtape. There are some rich productions throughout this album, throughout this project, that I really like. But there are some kind of like lackluster, haphazard, half-stepping type of productions throughout this project too. So, and I think those are the songs that kind of left J. Cole hanging, right? That really didn't cater to his style, and that really didn't give him, that boost, the elevation that he needed. So I think the production is half and half, because when it was great, he was great. When it was kind of lackadaisical, so was he. So I do like this album, especially from a rapping standpoint. I do believe this was elite lyrical wordplay, especially when we got songs like Pie, right? He had Absol and Daylight, and he tore the bone off that chicken, right? Trader Truth and Ubiza. I love that, and I love the Crocodile Tears and the 3001, right? Those were the vlog 1 and vlog 2s that he was kind of previewing for us at first. Pricey was a great verse too. Stealth Mode was a good verse. So I do believe that J. Cole was rapping at an elite level. I wanted more on I'm Ready, right? I wanted to put this statement out early on, but Joe Budden said it first, and I was disappointed in I'm Ready. Especially with Cam, like you had the opportunity to showcase and all those freestyles you've been doing on that sports talk show, and you can't even freestyle when it's time to get on a J.Cole beat, and you know you're gonna be on a project on I'm Ready, on a remake of one of your classics. Cam, how could you do that to the people? How could you let us down? And Cole, you kind of let me down too on that song as well. I believe you could have came a little bit harder. I believe you could have been a little bit more lyrical. Like you was just talking your shit, but you wasn't talking about shit. You was just saying something. So I'm Ready was a letdown for me. Uh, but all in all, you go to that 7 minute drill, and that 7 minute drill is kind of what made the album what the album was in totality, right? And I like the album. I feel like it was a good album. Not better than the off season, not better than KOD, and people probably wouldn't put it above FHD either. And so I think this album, when we look at J. Cole's discography, it will rank in the bottom two, bottom three, you know. So I like it, but it sounds like a mixtape, right? So I believe he could have crafted a better project, you know, especially if he was going to do the 7 minute drill. If he would have came with a little bit more heat, like all the way through, consistency, consistent lyrics all the way through, consistent beats, consistent production. And I could tell that Boss was in his ear with HYB. I could tell that Boss was in his ear, because if you listen to the songs he did on Boss Project and you listen to the songs that he did on this project, you could tell that these were some leftovers from that Boss Project, or some of the ones he probably was telling himself he'll keep these, he like these, right? I'm sure him and Boss shared, you know what I'm saying, a couple files together. But I don't like Boss. I like that island type of vibe. I don't know if you want to say it's reggaeton or dance type of music. I love the up tempo, but sometimes J. Cole hits the mark on it and sometimes he doesn't. And I know that Boss is trying to get him into the experimental sound. So I like that they took some risk. I like that he put that out there. But when it's wartime and when it's time to go to battle, and when you talking about you putting another person's album put you to sleep, and you talking about another person's album was tragic, and you do this, then nah, we gotta talk, bro. I can't agree with this. I can't agree with your stance. I can't agree with your confidence. I gotta be 100 with you. I gotta be honest with you. You kind of let me down with the project as a whole, but there are some gems that I will keep shiny, that I will keep on the playlist, that I will keep going back to. But as a whole project, I feel like it's not a letdown. This is definitely a publicity stunt as far as using the diss and the response to the diss to sell this album, right? I definitely he utilized the controversy that he said Kendrick was utilizing. So actually he was a benefactor of it. He benefited from it. But that's just my viewpoint on it. Like, might delete later. Like, you might have to delete this. You might want to delete this, because this is going to be one of those projects, bro. This is going to be one of those projects that's going to be looked at over time. And I don't think it's going to stand the test of time. I think because of the impact of the Like That verse combined with the diss of 7 minute drill, it's going to get what it's going to get. And I think your fan base will be happy. Your fan base will be fed. I'm a part of the J. Cole fan base. I'm a part of the Kendrick Lamar fan base. I don't belong to the R.B. Drake fan base, but I appreciate what he does too. So I think I wanted to hear something from J. Cole, but it's just a certain way I want my albums from my greats. It's a certain type of meal that they, that they prepare. It's a certain type of meal prep that they deliver, and I don't think it was delivered to me on this album. Am I being biased? Am I being too nitpicky? Am I just being too critical of what he did? No, but I feel like this was hastily prepared. I feel like he just threw some stuff out there, and he said he got enough material to throw out 2 classics. Why not throw out a classic? Because this is not going to be considered a classic. And in time, this will be considered a good piece of music. In time, some of those songs will be okay, but I could see some of those songs not having the lifespan as like that. I can see some of those songs not having a lifespan as of a 7-minute drill because of the ground it shook, right? But the thing is, Future has other songs on We Don't Trust You that stood out, right? And J. Cole has songs on here too as well. But I think he rushed to put this album out right before Dreamville, right? So he could capitalize on the controversy that Kendrick started. And I believe this album, although he did appear to get in his bag on a couple of tracks that were really elite, right? I don't think this will rank in the top half of his discography. And if it doesn't rank in the top half of this discography, well, then we could say this album was kind of a letdown in a sense, because the top half is the standard. That's the expectation that we hold you to. And if you don't crack that top half of your discography to where one of those albums have to move down because you drop something so massive, so masterful, right? Then I think that in itself is a disappointment, right? But I'm glad that you responded, right? I know your fan base is glad that you responded to the diss. I know they're glad you said something, right? But everything else you said was not potent enough to carry this album to where it wanted to be carried, and it's already projected to do 160,000 streams. So for a surprise album, I think that's great. I think anything close to 200, right, is good for nobody even knowing about this, and it might get over past 160 by the time the full amount of numbers are in, because it's just a projection. It's not a staple. I think more people will get to this Cole but it was a lot of music that came out. The Bryson Tiller, the Glorilla. It was a lot of music that came out this week. So I think that's why he probably wasn't able to get as many views or as many streams, right? So the fact that We Don't Trust You got to 250, damn near 100K more than what Might Delete Later is projecting. And they really just did one trailer. They really didn't promote it that much. And J. Cole did a couple trailers for the Might Delete Later vlogs. So the fact that that's selling more than this one, I mean, it's some shit you gotta look at, man. It's some shit you really gotta look at when you ain't being biased about it. It's some shit you really gotta look at. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it depends. It all depends on your perspective, how you want to view it. Like I said, I like Cole. I think Cole is the best rapper currently. I don't think Kendrick has done enough since releasing Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, a verse on Like That, the Hillbillies, the Family Ties verse. I don't think he's done enough to overtake Cole's status or his throne as the number one rapper. But I think he disturbed it. I think he kind of shook things up. I think what Kendrick did was make us relook and reevaluate Cole's career and his discography, right? And RB Drake Graham, man, salute to Drake, bro, because Drake he a big deal. He a big deal, and like Kendrick really mainly dissing him on Like That, and Metro Boomin and Future kind of going at him on the album We Don't Trust You is really what propelled that project into greatness. But it was still a great project, but greatness, but legendary. I think it might be able to go there if they can get it off and Drake doesn't respond the right way. Or even if Drake responds to that album, then the album will be set in stone, because it was the one that woke up a sleeping giant. It was the one that, put hip hop back into the fold, back into the eye, because they was talking about hip hop not being viewed as the number one genre. They was talking about hip hop as if it was falling off. But now that we got these guys back in the mix, now that we got Aubrey Drake Graham, now that we got Kendrick Lamar Duckworth, now that we got Jermaine Cole back in the fold, Future, Metro Boom, and now that we got these back in the mix, no telling where hip hop can go, right? No telling who's is inspiring, no telling who it's motivating. And the one thing that is showing us is that you can trade words with each other. You can share a difference of opinion. You can share a difference of perspective with one another without killing a man, without hurting a man, without being so disrespectful. Everybody is looking at this as if J. Cole was soft, as if he took the friendly route, and I'm not innocent. I'm guilty of it too. But when I really looked at it, when James Chief Miller told me you could see yourself like Cole, wishing that you wanted something so badly, and then when you finally got it, it didn't fulfill you. When he said that, I had to take it into consideration, right? Because we got to take these things into consideration. These are grown men with wives, with kids. Maybe not Drake, but he has children. Future, he has a whole village of kids. We're not trying to kill. We're not trying to harm you. We're not trying to take food out your mouth, right? But we're trying to establish our dominance. We're trying to compete, right? Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys, they're not trying to put the Philadelphia Eagles out of business, right? LeBron James and the Lakers, they're not trying to put Jason Tatum and the Celtics out of business. They want to compete. They want to hold the championship trophy. They just want to be able to compete at a high level, and for others to see their skills, for others to see the work and the effort that they put into their craft. They just wanted to put it on display and entertain everyone. But people want to see the street fights. People want to see somebody dead, right? They want another murder mystery. They want another cold case. Why not just keep it hot on the beats? Why not just keep it hot on wax? And that's why I love the 7-minute drill. That's why I like that. That's why I like how Drake will respond. Because, I mean, as disrespectful as Drake can be, even he didn't come at Push really that disrespectful. Push was the one that went there, and that's when the beef ended, right? So now that I'm looking at this from a grown man perspective. And this is the mature adult way to handle things. And we've grown up with hip hop. We old now. We grown now. Right? Why not teach this to our kids? Why not teach this to our children? The way you address a man is tell him what's on your mind and leave it there. No need for it to go into bloodshed. No need for it to go into hearts broken. Maybe feelings hurt a little bit, but that's about it. So salute to Cole, salute to Kendrick, and salute to Drake, right? Because the way Drake is reacting and the way he's writing these captions and the way he's shucking and jiving online is still keeping this beef alive. And people are curious to know when he will respond still. And to be honest, J. Cole responding pushed his response even further back. The We Still Don't Trust You album that's coming out next week pushed the response back even further. And I wonder what Future and Metro have cooking up. I wonder what they're going to say. I wonder what are going to be on this album. I wonder what's going to be exposed, what's going to be revealed. Because we really don't know the real truth of these guys' angst between each other. We really don't know the truth of the piff, of the tiff, of the tit and tat. We don't know. So I'm curious to find out. But salute to J. Cole. Might delete later. Like I said, this is a good album. It's not great. The 7-minute disc was great. And it gave the album the boost that it needed to sell what it needed to sell. and you combine that with the Dreamville Festival going on right now this weekend, I think J. Cole won regardless of the results, right? I think Kendrick Lamar won because of the results, and I think Drake has an opportunity to win as well. And I like for him to kind of be more inspired and to get back into his rapping bag, right? So I think hip hop is back at the forefront. I think it's the topic of discussion is at the tip of everyone's tongue. No Diddy. So God bless y'all. This is your kinfolk William Jewell L. And I ain't taking no L's. This is articulating. Rap, rap, rap.